Hi there, it's Lerald, and today I'm making a video about the Helm Enchant that unlocked this week, the Incandescent Essence. So I have a few questions I want to answer with this video, and here they are. How do you get it? How does it work? Is it good? And is it worth getting? So let's just get right into it. You get it by doing the raid. Marithra gives you the quest, The Power of Dreams, inside a Mirdrasil. You have to actually be in the raid to get the quest from her. When you kill Gnarlroot, she'll run down into the arena and you can pick the quest up from her there. The quest requires you to kill Agira, Laredar, Smolderon, and Tindral, basically the 4 wing bosses, sort of LFR. And you also have to kill enough raid bosses that you collect 50 Echoed Ephemera. I was getting about 4 to 5 ephemera per boss, and that's the same regardless of what difficulty, LFR all the way up to Mythic. So if you're just starting now, fresh character, you can finish this quest in maybe 2 weeks of LFR. Like I said, it is doable in LFR. I've heard that it'll drop in multiple difficulties in the same lockout. I have not tested that. Theoretically, that means you could do LFR and then maybe do normal and get enough ephemera to be done in a single week. But that might not be the case, all of my characters are done with the quest, so I can't really tell for sure. Either way, 2 weeks of LFR is easy enough to get this done. And prior to this week, there was a cap on the amount of Echoed Ephemera you could attain, but that is gone now. Basically, kill bosses, get the stuff, hand in the quest, then you do a couple of very quick follow-up quests with Marithra, just standing right next to her there in the raid, no running around required, and now you have the Incandescent Essence. So now let's talk about how it actually works. What does it do? It's a reusable item, and you use it to enchant any helm you have. There are some limitations. I know the first thing that people did was they started putting it onto heirloom helms to level their alts faster, and that was nerfed instantly. In general, this enchant has really good quality of life built into it. You enchant your helm, and then you get a buff that makes you have a proc that does something about once per minute. Now, what that enchant does is based on your role, your character's role. So for tanks, you do some AoE damage and you shield yourself. For healers, you give your target a shield that does some damage or gives them a little versatility buff if the shield doesn't get broken. For damage dealers, you get a damage proc. It's all pretty straightforward. You do whatever it is that you normally do, but a little bit more. What's really nice here is that if you swap specs, the buff changes specs with you. There's no re-enchanting required, no annoying stuff to juggle. You just get a bonus attached to your character for the rest of the expansion, basically. You put an enchant on your helm, now you're a little stronger. That's good. But is it good? Sort of. The main response to this buff has been people complaining about how weak it is. I have logs from this week's raid, and it's worth about 1 to 2% more damage for damage dealers, 1 to 2% more damage for tanks, and 1 to 2% more healing for healers. Is 1 to 2% more power bad for an enchant? Not really. It's more than you get out of augment runes or a food buff. It's more than you get out of ring enchants. It's basically on par with another flask or another weapon enchant. So objectively comparing this bonus to other buffs and enchants, it's a meaningful increase in player power. But considering that this is a quest that players have been working on in the raid for over a month, to see this quest result in a whopping 1% damage increase is pretty underwhelming. It's not a disappointment because being disappointed implies that you had expectations, and this is about what I think. This is about what I expected. But that being said, I can't say that it is lame. One big positive I will point to is that for the tank bonus, the shielding is actually pretty substantial. I got over 1 million damage worth of free shields on Tindral Sage Swift in last night's heroic reclear, and that's not too bad. I haven't done any Mythic Plus since unlocking this, but looking at some logs of high-end players who have, it appears to be providing a pretty decent amount of shielding, like 10% total healing for prot pallies and warriors. And then, for tanks that have a lot more self-healing, like Druid, Demon Hunter, and Monk, it's closer to 5%. I would say the defensive impact is pretty low in Blood DK, but everything counts. Even Blood DK isn't going to be upset about an extra, 10 million damage worth of shielding throughout a dungeon. So with all that being said, is it worth unlocking? Yeah. Usually this is a part of a video where someone would say oh, it's up to you, blah, blah, blah. No, this is a super small time investment for an increase in player power that will last the rest of the expansion. It's basically permanent. You can complete it in 2 weeks of LFR. There's no reason in my mind not to do this on any character you're serious about playing. Now, as for alts that you don't really care about, that's sure, don't bother. Ultimately, the time investment required to unlock this is very small. All right, let's wrap up. The tuning on the Helm Enchant is low. People are making jokes about the 1% damage increase, and rightly so. It probably should be at least 3% more damage. I think people probably wouldn't make fun of it at that point. I would really prefer that it were more like 5%. 5% is kind of my baseline for bonuses that, like, if you're not getting 5% more damage or damage reduction from a talent or a tier set or a new Helm Enchant, you can't really feel the difference, but you can feel 5%. Settling at 1 to 2 is very conservative by that metric. Additionally, since it is available to everyone, even people who just want to do LFR, and it's super easy to unlock, like a week and a half of LFR for all of that, I just don't really see the point in making it so extremely weak. All that being said, I'm not going to complain about free damage, and I mean, that is what this is. Free damage, free shield, the design is really good, really convenient. You put it on your helm once and then you're just stronger. I can't complain about that. I wish it did 3 times more damage, but still not bad. All right, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.